Your workplace is more connected than ever. Slack, automated workflows, AI tools that answer before your manager does. And yet, a 2023 Gallup report found that loneliness at work has been rising steadily, particularly among people working in highly digitized environments. More tools, more efficiency, and somehow more isolation. Here's what the research says is actually happening. Before we talk about AI, we need to understand what work was never just about. Psychologists have long established that work serves needs far beyond income. A foundational concept in occupational psychology, built on decades of research, identifies that humans seek belonging, identity, and recognition through their professional lives. You didn't just go to work to finish tasks. You went to feel like you mattered to someone. The colleague who noticed when you seemed off. The manager who remembered your name on a hard day. The small conversations that had nothing to do with productivity, but everything to do with feeling human. AI-optimized workplaces are quietly removing those moments. Not intentionally, but systematically. A study published in the journal Computers and Human Behavior found that increased reliance on digital communication tools, even among people working in the same building, significantly reduced what researchers called felt social presence, the sense that the people around you are genuinely, humanly there. When your feedback comes from an algorithm, when your performance is tracked by a dashboard, when your questions are answered by a chatbot, something shifts. Not dramatically, not all at once, but gradually the texture of human contact at work becomes thinner, and your nervous system notices, even when your conscious mind hasn't caught up yet. Research points to 3 specific mechanisms worth understanding. The first is metric reduction. When AI systems reduce your contribution to numbers, productivity scores, response times, output rates, you stop being a person with a story and become a data point with a trend line. Psychologists at the University of Michigan found that being evaluated algorithmically, rather than by a human who knows your context, increases feelings of invisibility and disconnection. The second is the removal of informal interaction. A landmark study from MIT found that informal workplace conversations, the ones that feel unproductive, are actually responsible for up to 40% of creative collaboration and significantly predict employee well-being. AI optimization often targets these moments first. They don't show up well in efficiency reports. The third is the empathy gap. When something goes wrong at work, a missed deadline, a difficult client, a bad week, a human manager can read between the lines. An AI system cannot. And receiving feedback from something incapable of understanding why you're struggling is a profoundly isolating experience, even if the feedback itself is technically accurate. Loneliness is not just an emotional state. Research published in the journal Perspectives on Psychological Science, widely cited in workplace well-being literature, found that chronic loneliness carries health risks comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It disrupts sleep, it elevates cortisol, it impairs the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making and emotional regulation. In other words, the loneliness produced by an AI-optimized workplace is not something you can simply push through. It accumulates, and it costs you cognitively, emotionally, physically, in ways that no productivity tool can offset. One reason this form of loneliness is particularly difficult is that it doesn't look like loneliness. You're in meetings, you're responding to messages, you're technically interacting with people all day. But research on what psychologists call social snacking, a concept developed at the University of Chicago, suggests that surface-level digital interaction can temporarily reduce the feeling of loneliness without actually meeting the underlying need for genuine connection. So you end the day having spoken to 20 people and still feel, somehow, completely unseen. That feeling has a name, it has a mechanism, and it is not a personal failure. None of this means AI in the workplace is simply bad. Research consistently shows that when AI handles repetitive, low-meaning tasks, it can actually free humans to do more connective, creative work. The problem isn't the technology, it's the implementation, specifically when efficiency is prioritized so completely that the human infrastructure of work quietly collapses underneath it. Organizational psychologists argue that what's needed is what they call intentional human design, deliberately protecting the conditions that allow genuine connection to exist at work. That's a structural conversation, but it starts with individuals understanding what they're actually losing and why it matters. If you've been feeling strangely alone at work, despite being constantly connected, you're not imagining it. The research is catching up to what you've already been feeling. Follow Mindcare Corner for honest, research-backed content on what the digital world is doing to our minds, one uncomfortable truth at a time.